Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping inside the really high-stakes world of the UK clinical coder.
Mm,
And it's not just admin, is it? It seems like this critical point where, patient care meets the money side and even national policy.
that's exactly right. You could almost call them NHS financial navigators.
Okay.
Their job, fundamentally, is taking all that raw clinical information, the patient's story in the notes, and translating it
Translating it in.
into those standardized alphanumeric codes.
Yeah.
That's what actually triggers the payment, through payment by results, PBR. It's vital for the trust's income.
Okay, so let's unpack that. These codes, ICD-10 for diagnoses, OPCS-4 for procedures. Why is translating them such a heavy lift day to day? What makes it so demanding?
Well, it's about classification compression. That's the key term.
Compression.
Yeah. See, clinicians, they often use really detailed systems like S-Nomen CT, capturing lots of clinical nuance right there at the bedside.
Right, very specific.
Very specific. But the coder then has to evaluate all that richness and essentially squeeze it down into fewer, broader codes needed for billing and national stats.
Ah, okay. So they're taking this detailed medical picture and turning it into a sort of financial summary.
Precisely. And it's a huge conceptual leap, carries a real cognitive load.
And the output of that process generates the healthcare resource group, the HRG,
Correct.
which is basically the currency for PBR dictating the payment.
It is the currency.
Yeah.
And here's where the risk comes in.
Okay.
If the coder misses something crucial in the notes, maybe a secondary diagnosis wasn't clearly stated, or a complication.
Something that made the stay longer or more complex.
Exactly. If it's not documented explicitly, they can't code it,
Yeah.
and the record gets downcoded.
Meaning a lower payment.
A lower tariff, HRG, yes. And that translates directly into, well, sometimes substantial financial losses for the trust. Unnecessary losses, purely based on documentation. We're talking potentially thousands per case.
Wow. And there's a time crunch too, right? This isn't leisurely work.
Oh, definitely not. There's a strict monthly deadline. All discharged patient activity must be coded by then,
Or else.
or else the trust simply doesn't get paid for that work. Zero payment for uncoded activity. So yeah, it's a very time-sensitive revenue function.
Which must create this daily tension for the coder.
It absolutely does. And it stems from a core rule. Clinical coders are strictly forbidden from making clinical inferences.
They can't read between the lines.
Not at all. They can only code what is explicitly documented. If a doctor writes BP elevated, but doesn't document treating the high blood pressure or linking it to a condition, the coder can't assume that link.
So the biggest hurdle day to day must be just poor documentation, incomplete notes.
That's very often the primary systemic barrier, yes. Particularly, perhaps, discharge summaries from busy junior staff who might not fully grasp the financial implications of every word.
Right, which forces the coder to put on a detective hat.
Pretty much. They end up raising formal clinical information queries, trying to get clarification from the clinicians.
Which slows everything down.
Exactly. It delays throughput, and suddenly that monthly financial deadline looks much closer.
And all this detective work is because the accuracy standard is so high.
It has to be. The professional standard is 90% accuracy. They're essentially acting as internal auditors, protecting the trust revenue, guarding against claim denials if things get scrutinized later.
So pulling it all together, the coder is really playing this dual role. They're a sophisticated data translator, fitting messy clinical reality into rigid boxes. And at the same time, they're a crucial financial safeguard for the hospital. And all their work feeds into things like the National Hospital Episode Statistics, HES.
That's the picture. And, the source material is quite clear on potential improvements.
Oh.
Yeah, things like targeted training for clinicians on why documentation matters so much, plus investing in better, maybe customized electronic patient records.
Yeah.
These things demonstrably improve the quality of the source notes.
Which would make the coder's job easier and reduce errors.
Precisely. So here's something maybe for you to chew on. Given the thousands potentially lost every month just from downcoding due to poor notes, well, how quickly does investing in that kind of documentation training actually pay for itself?